And that's starting now.
Yay.
And now I'm going to start recording the audio.
Sweet.
All right. Cool. Also, I'm pretty sure at some point during the interview, you'd probably want to show your work. Yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
Yes. That's all good.
I
know this was kind of a sudden thing that sprung up on you, but
oh no, you're good. So we have this trick that we usually have our like fitness clothes on because we're usually running around and doing stuff, but we always keep a blazer so for emergencies.
Yeah, see, now you're making me feel underdressed for this.
Oh, that's okay. Wait till you see the fitness leggings and awesome sneakers I have on.
Nice.
So if I'm showing my work, would that be just presenting the screen or?
Yeah, you could just share it on your screen. That wouldn't be a problem.
Okay, so let me pull something up.
Would it be underdressed, won't you?
Yes, Allison.
Hi, Allison.
You've been greeted, Allison.
Hi.
Hello.
This is also in the recording. But,
Nice.
My bad.
you know, we'll keep it.
No.
No, we'll keep it.
You can hear that.
Nah. It's more authentic that way.
No.
We're all family here.
That's why I was like, if someone's like on the phone with their mom, we'll be like, "Hey, mom, what's up?" Like,
Yeah. No big deal.
I am trying to remember my Instagram password because that's like the most current stuff I have.
Gotcha.
Oh, come on now. I had the same problem last time and I remembered the password the second we got off of the meet and I was just like, really? Because there's some of the newer pieces that I would like to show for sure. And this one? No. Okay. Do I have anything saved in my drive, maybe? I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's fine. It's cool. It's cool.
Trying to type as fast as my little sausage fingers will let me.
As long as they get the job done.
Right. I've actually been learning how to play piano lately, and it shows me just how tiny my fingers are.
Actually, I've always wanted to learn how to play the piano as well. Just never got around to it.
Dude, YOLO. Now's the time, man.
Right. I'm also learning a lot of other things too. So it's like, at what time?
Oh, I feel that on a spiritual level.
Yeah.
For sure. Try one more password.
Don't want to get yourself locked out.
Yes. I think I got it. Yes. Haha.
All right. Cool.
Huzzah.
So when we actually get to the part where you can show your art, we can see it.
Yes, absolutely. Instead of me going, well, it's really great. You'll see it later sometime.
It's, well, you know, if the viewer has a great imagination, I mean, they could end up making it be something great.
Of course.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I think we're
all right.
Cool. We're ready.
You ready? All right. Cool. Okay, so just kicking things off here. I'm Devontae Bradley, otherwise known as Davo, fellow Techspressionist here. And we are with, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Carmen Moses. I usually go by C or CMO. That's how like most people kind of address me now. But I also go by Carmen, so it's whatever people want to call me, I guess. And I'm from Augusta, Georgia, and I'm an artist.
You're an artist? I had no idea.
I know, right?
All right, Carmen. So tell us a little bit about your background. Not just like where you're from, but like your artistic background.
Sure. There's a lot to tell for sure. But as I said, I'm from Augusta. So I've kind of always been creative. I was always that kid that draws, you know, and I, you know, just have always kind of been inclined to be artistic and, you know, always trying to, you know, play with color and draw and all that good stuff. And, you know, as I got older, I kind of got out of it a little bit, but I went to Augusta University when it was Augusta State University. Long story there of many names. But I went for a little while, and you know, I was kind of having a difficult personal time, and kind of not unsure what I wanted to do, and I ended up dropping out. I went for art, and I ended up dropping out and going to culinary school for a little while. So if anyone needs cake, let me know. So I studied to be a cake decorator for a little bit, and
Mhm.
you know, still unhappy, still unsatisfied. So then I went into like normal work and was still unhappy and still unsatisfied. So in 2015 or 16, I decided to go back to school as an older person with lots of little people. Um, so that was fun, and I just stuck with it, and recently graduated in 2018 with my BFA in photography and printmaking. So I do photography and printmaking, of course, digital drawing, digital art, regular art painting. Kind of just do a little bit of everything. So I really consider myself a mixed media artist. Just whatever the concept in my mind calls for is what I'm going to go to create with. So now I work at the Jesse Norman School in downtown Augusta. So I teach now. I teach different various types of art. I'm also a performer, and I teach performing arts. So I stay very, very, very busy.
That's what I was going to say. It sounds like you're a very, very busy person.
Yes. Sometimes it's just like, am I missing something? Like if I have a day off, I'm like, I had to have forgotten something. But yeah, so I've really, ever since joining the Jesse Norman School, the connections I've made here, and you know, just some of the people that I've met have created so many pathways for me. So I always have to mention the school and name drop and be like, I'm very grateful because I ended up between Augusta University and here, and just all of the wonderful artists and mentors and people I've met. They really kind of helped get me out there, and here I am.
And here you are. All right. So that being said, would you say that, you know, that background has had any bearing on the kind of art that you do? Like, has Augusta influenced your art in any way, or like your experience with, you know, your experience with art,
Yeah.
like how you dropped out initially and then kind of rediscovered it? Did that have a bearing on, you know, the kind of art that you did, or had any influences on it?
Yes, question mark. So a lot of the art that I do is pretty highly conceptual and kind of goes into this sort of digital fantasy land. But interacting with all of the amazing artists in Augusta, I think we all do tend to influence each other, and pick things up. And basically, the entire staff here is all working artists. So, you know, we'll just kind of be like, hey, you got a minute? What do you think of this? And, you know, someone will go, well, man, that's really cool. Have you thought about this? I'm like, not yet, but I have now. So definitely interacting in this sort of melting pot incubator kind of city, and, you know, interacting with these other artists has influenced my work. But I have to say the biggest influence will probably be my time at Augusta University. I had an amazing art history teacher, Michael Schwartz, and an amazing printmaking teacher, and an amazing color theory teacher. And basically the staff there is awesome. So, and they're all artists as well, of course. So interacting with them as well has really influenced, but really the art history was what kind of woke everything up in my brain, especially like studying Renaissance and medieval, and also just kind of being you know, obsessed with technology and that kind of thing. So all that kind of just mixed together and created this weird style. And printmaking was a huge part of developing my style and thinking of things in layers. And yes, is the answer to your question.
Sorry about the cat that might have crossed the screen just now.
Okay.
He likes to get involved.
Oh, that's okay. I have dogs at home, so I'd much rather have a cat just quietly walk by and it's like,
well, this time he's quiet. He's not
okay.
always quiet.
Like, hey, what's up, meow?
Right. No, he likes to peruse this entire desk pretty much, and that also includes sometimes stepping on the keyboard. But yeah. So that all sounds really interesting. Like, I've actually never kind of been like, I've been around artists my whole life. Like a lot of my friends in Georgia from back home, because I grew up in Lawrenceville actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. A lot of my friends were artists, and I was kind of always envious because they had like money for resources and materials, and I was just like,
Yes.
I want to do that, but the only thing I had was my computer, so that's how I kind of got into digital art. So it was out of necessity of still wanting to create, but wanting to go beyond pencil and paper.
Oh, same. I don't know if you remember Adobe Photo Deluxe back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so that was the program that I started using. You know, as a young art wannabe, artist wannabe.
Still wannabe, you're just an amateur. It's okay. You're still learning.
Yeah. So I think there were like only like 4 or 5 tools on there. There was like crop and maybe a lasso. I can't even remember. It was such a long time ago. But I remember our little, what was it? I don't even remember the name of the computer. It was like an E-machine or something awful.
I had one of those. Yeah, its motherboard died.
Is that all that died on it? I don't even. Does E-machines even make them anymore?
To be honest with you, I have no idea. I know we had 3 E-machines in our household. 2 of them had bad motherboards. The third one's hard drive just up and died randomly. So they were quality products.
Yeah.
They're still around though. Apparently. But they've been replaced by things like Asus or Asus, however you're supposed to pronounce that, and Acer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense. But yeah, that was it. E-machines and Photo Deluxe was where it all started, and I would you know, take screen grabs of interesting things and cut them up and make like kind of these weird fantasy landscapes. So I wish I can go back in time and be like, hey, keep doing this. It's gonna be awesome.
I feel you on that one on a major degree, because I know I took a long break from exploring the kind of fine art side of things, because I was doing a lot of character art stuff, because I was wrapped up in manga art and anime and video games and that kind of art. So that was where my concerns were, and I got away from art, like the art for art's sake. So this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, it brought me in, like it brought me into that kind of style, and it kept me there, and it's, as I'm sure it did you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember drawing like you know, those book fair, and you got your little $10 check that your parents got you. I would always look for the drawing books, and I remember like drawing was so difficult for me. Like, you know, everyone knew me as a kid that drew, but I always wanted to push. And there were, you know, kids that drew better. Like you said, you know, they had better resources. And I remember taking my little $10 and buying, there were 2 books that I remember that really helped me learn how to draw. It was a Donkey Kong Country character drawing book and a Simpsons character drawing book. And I remember drawing that from the first Donkey Kong Country game, that bee, you know, with the big booty and the stinger. So I remember like drawing that bee over and over and over again and getting so frustrated until eventually I just got it. And I was really excited. So I always think about that bee every time. And I have a daughter who draws, and it's kind of interesting, kind of passing along these books and passing the torch and watching her grow and develop and being able to go, hey, just keep practicing. It'll happen. So yeah.
Practice is one thing, talent is another, but practice is more important.
Oh yeah. I tell my students that all the time. I'm like, you cannot get by just on talent. You gotta work, put in the work for sure. So fun stuff.
Yeah. My Donkey Kong Country was actually the Pokemon guidebook, because there was a
nice,
like the little green Pokemon handbook that had the first 151 Pokemon in it, and I used to draw the Pokemon in there from with my brother and sister. Actually, they were also participants in that, but they fell away from it. I didn't.
Right. Yeah. Right. Wow. There was only 150 Pokemon at one point, weren't there?
Now there's over 800. I think we're at 1,000 now. I think something along those lines.
Oh, so behind.
And I'm still in it.
Nice. Same. So we actually have a couple of Pokestops right outside the school, and you can tell when people are like looking down at their phones and walking across the median. I'm just like,
I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're Pokemon loving house. My daughter's got Pokemon stuff. We were just arranging her Pokeballs on her shelf, you know.
Nice.
So definitely video gamers.
There's a sketch of Charizard right here and a sketch of Zoroark from the 4th generation right over here.
Nice.
So, yeah, so big fans here too.
Very cool.
Back to art stuff now.
Oh yes.
Right.
We'll be there for a while.
I mean, it's still part of you though.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Definitely
so,
a big influence.
Yeah. So speaking of influence, so are there like any other cultural influences for your work? Like I know there were, from the work that I've seen of yours, some of them have like seemingly religious overtones to them that I picked up on. So can you speak a little bit on that, or?
Sure. So I do use a lot of religious references in my work. And there's always kind of this weird, like I'm definitely not looking to offend for the sake of offense. But I do want, I want people to really kind of think about their spiritual sides. And so the Renaissance, medieval work, kind of those Madonnas and, altar pieces and triptychs, and that's really a huge influence for me. Kind of pop culture sort of things like the Matrix and Cloud Atlas, basically Wachowski stuff, and different kind of sci-fi. I'm a big sci-fi fan. So that's pretty prevalent. My family's from Puerto Rico, and I don't use a whole lot of kind of cultural references, but I do really like, I also like Mexican culture. So like Day of the Dead and, Catholicism and things like that are in there. Maybe not as prevalent, but they're in there for sure. Music is also really influential, like Janelle Monae's music. I think I listened to Metropolis like 6,000 times during my senior year in college, which really kept informing the work and pushing it even further. And Janelle Monae, if you're out there, I love you. Please.
Notice me, please.
Notice me, please. But Metropolis was just really inspired. And of course, Metropolis, the original movie.
Right.
So just lots of, it's in my brain, I think of it as, I'm sure you've played Katamari. Like I kind of just roll and pick up whatever, I just kind of let the world influence me in general. But I was actually talking to Michael, my collaboration partner, yesterday, and we were talking about kind of the main sort of vein in my work, especially recently, has been, what would an AI think of religion? What would they think of God? Because if God is a creator and we're creating them, do they think that of us? And that kind of leads to so many different little branches, about if God is perfect and an AI, thinks that we're God, but we're not perfect, like you can go so many different directions and so many different questions.
Absolutely.
There. So I like to think about how they would interpret our religion and what kind of religious or spiritual practices that might just naturally evolve in an AI. So that's pretty much the main. It's heavy.
No, that's actually really interesting thoughts. Like, what if AIs actually could, like, well, not could. It's actually probably a possibility at this point, because they've already there's some AI have actually developed their own form of language that they use to communicate with each other. So that's a thing that's happened. So naturally, they might develop some sort of belief system potentially, and what that would look like would be.
Exactly. Definitely keeps me up at night on a regular basis. Like I said, it's pretty heavy stuff. So I like to definitely explore that in my work a lot, and in various ways, sometimes more direct ways. Like I know I've made some pieces where it's just like you see exactly, one particular concept, but others are a little bit more abstract. So you kind of have to sit and experience, for a little while. And but that's pretty much the influence in a very large nutshell.
It's a very big nutshell, but it's okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think actually now would be a good time that we could, kind of see some of your work, if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely. I was prepared to share some.
Prepared to share.
So we can see this okay?
Yeah, I can see it.
Absolutely. Awesome. So this is my Instagram. My kind of quote unquote official art brand or art name is Payasa, which means clown in Spanish. And it's the feminine version of the word clown in Spanish. And if you've been in a room with me for more than 5 minutes, you're going to be like, that's where you get the name from, because all funny people in my house, which is great until we try to out funny each other.
Oh no.
So I like the concept of a clown, because there's sadness and then there's joy. So that's another kind of thing that kind of loosely connects my work as thoughts of sadness and joy, and the juxtaposition and contrast of those two things. But let's start, maybe we're gonna go down.
We got clowns, we've got AI, and we've got technology.
Pretty much. And skulls, but we'll get to that
and
part.
Skulls, yeah.
Skulls. I think my boss recently said I was the skull queen, and I'm like, you know it, buddy. So I do love skulls and skeletons. There's some stuff from from just my working life as well, but I'm trying to get to the artwork. And we're going down. Let's see here. Trying to get to the kind of early college stuff. Some photography there, some sketches, me wearing a lot of stuffed animals. That was an interesting day for sure.
Actually, a picture of somebody that actually looked like a friend of mine.
It's such a small world. I would believe it.
Hey, I recently sold a print to a cousin of mine. I had no idea.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's definitely one way to meet your family.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. You scroll through it so fast on your phone that when you get on the slow computer, you're like, okay.
Well, not only that, the Instagram desktop site is not at all optimized, like at all. It's just,
right.
It's just not.
Okay, I think we're pretty much getting to the beginning. And we'll just do, okay. Whew.
Yeah,
right.
we are. Hey, I also kind of start with an eye at the very bottom of mine.
Oh yes, got to. Every artist has got to do the eye at least once.
I keep doing them every now and again. I got to come back to it.
For sure, and just to see your eye progress, like I can show you an eye I did like in 5th grade, and this is an improvement, but I could probably do even better now. So this is early college, late pre-college work. So, of course, you would start with your drawing courses. So
yep.
I really hit those hard and kept a pretty decent sketchbook. I also was really influenced by graffiti art. So that was one of the reasons I got back into art before college. So a friend of mine goes by Satire. His work is amazing. And I showed him some of my work, and we worked together one day, and I was just like, I kind of quit college, I just don't think I'm good enough. He's like, no, you need to keep going. So that's where some of these kind of creepy, provocative images came from. So kind of these sort of clown, burlesque type things, but still drawing, and then, Sharpie, alcohol-based marker, kind of working in that sort of graffiti style. Charcoal, this is all basically like kind of the building up and discovering what I can do. I also a big fan of the Labyrinth, so I did the Labyrinth fan piece.
The Labyrinth is an amazing piece of artwork itself.
Yes, it's a gorgeous movie, and everything kind of in that vein. Dark Crystal, Mirror.
Oh yes. Have you had an opportunity to watch the prequel that came out on Netflix?
Yep, binge watched it. It was good. And I love the lore of the movies as well.
Mm-hmm.
I actually recently just read the comic series, the kind of prequel comic series to Labyrinth, yep. And it was brilliant. I loved it. So here we are trying to kind of get into printmaking. I originally did not care for either printmaking or photography. And I even told my photography teacher that I was only in his class because it was required. About, $1,000 of camera equipment later, I changed my tune. And then same with printmaking, I really struggled with it. And then, I'm stubborn and stubborn driven, whatever you want to consider it. But I just kind of kept having to master the medium. And then I ended up really falling in love with printmaking. And here's some relief stuff. If you've kind of seen, and we'll see a little bit later on the Instagram, my Skelly bots. So that's kind of I've been working on serious stuff too long. I need to diffuse and just play. So that's kind of where the Skelly bots come from, but I'll touch on those in just a minute. But this is the original. Some woodcuts, some different things. I also worked for one of those like paint and sip companies at one point. So I've got some of that stuff up here. Kind of more of this graffiti style stuff. And again, just kind of discovering, who I was and what I was capable of. I also did some ceramics because, that's one of the classes you got to take, but I ended up falling in love with that as well. And then this piece is pretty kind of a game changer right here.
Looks like it.
This one is when the style really started to develop. So that's actually my daughter in that skull mask. And we were at a park and she's like, Mommy, I just want to play Pokemon. And I'm like, Mommy wants to make an A, put the mask back on. So this was one of the pictures that came out of that particular photo shoot. And it, I think I got an honorable mention in one of the kind of college art contests. I can't remember the name of it right now, but the Photographers Forum, that's what it was. So this was kind of a springboard into a lot of different pieces. My little crooked bowls that I threw. So this is kind of where the turning point was. I like to life hack and multitask as much as possible. And especially when you're going through college and you've got 60,000 different due dates. So photography and printmaking, were those main classes that I was taking. Those were my BFA track. And I'm like, okay, I've got an assignment due for this class and I've got an assignment due for this class. How can I combine that? And that was the moment, the pivotal moment for me, because photography and printmaking became kind of permanently a mesh for me. So instead of going and finding a stock photo, I'll go around, downtown and look for a texture that I like, and that'll become a background. And we'll see that a little bit more going forward. So kind of some more of the Day of the Dead, creepy, influency kind of stuff. More schoolwork, more kind of photo manipulation.
Was that a pyramid head inspired piece? I saw?
Kind of, yes, absolutely. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
So yes, and D&D's kind of always showing up in my life. I've never been a D&D player, but I have an appreciation for it. But a lot of my friends play it. So this, I can't really remember whether this was just an experiment or whether I had something a little bit higher conceptual for it. But I kind of started experimenting with like replacing heads. So I do get the pyramid head reference. So I'm sure I could like go back and be like, well,
Yeah, no, they'll still do on purpose.
Yeah. Sometimes the concept comes afterwards for sure.
I completely understand that one.
So I'm going to kind of come back to this in a moment, but because those pieces kind of show up later, just some drawing, charcoal drawing. This was another pivotal piece for me when I really started to think about this Renaissance art and, instead of a stone tablet, why not an iPad? Mm-hmm. And then some photography work. And then this was another kind of pivotal piece for me. I'm very, very heavily influenced by Frida Kahlo. Like, I wish I could go back in time and meet her and just be her best friend, because I totally would.
And she probably would have needed it.
Yes, I would have been like, hey girl, hey. But just her life and her work were very, very, very influential to me. I have Frida stuff all over the place. But this was part of a self-portrait assignment, and I had kind of, I don't know why, but this was a self-portrait, and I had a friend help me take the pictures, and like my eyes looked weird. Like I kind of looked a little Muppety. So I was just like, man, let me just replace my head with something. And then this piece and this piece probably, I started to really play with the idea of this kind of TV head. So the TV head Madonna is something that kind of pops up in my work a lot. And kind of going back to this one a little bit. So I remember talking to a young person and them not knowing what a VHS tape was. And I instantly had a midlife crisis.
Yeah, that kind of hurts a little bit.
I was like, you know, when you had to be kind and rewind, or they'd charge you a little extra. Blockbuster. Okay, never mind. So this piece, they're actually backwards. It's supposed to, this says los dioses viejos se están muriendo, which means the old gods are dying. So I kind of thought about, you know, these things that we revered, you know, so much in our lives, you know, TV, and that, you know, going to Walmart and grabbing the latest, you know, tape in their little tape section, and those things in our lives that are entertaining, but almost in a way objects of worship. So that's where the idea of the TV god and the tape god came from. The tape god hasn't really shown up too much. The TV god kind of has more a little bit for me. But that's kind of where like my current style really started. I also did some kind of fun abstract photography with miniature sets. Still kind of a fun thing that I do, but not really super prominent. You know, everyone has their trips to the aquarium photo, of course.
Mm-hmm. The lionfish and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, you gotta have the lionfish in there.
Yeah.
Some of these kind of these photo projects were kind of deeply personal, kind of exploring family relationships and kind of feelings and insecurities and, you know, baggage. So there's some kind of more deeply rooted stories in these, but like I said, I haven't really. That's more of kind of a side thing for me. And of course, I have my particularly offensive pieces.
Particularly offensive.
Particularly offensive. So this one offends pretty regularly. But what I wanted to say, it's one of my friends, just do the rest of my projects for me. So you know, what I wanted to say here is, you know, we're more interested in showing kind of the evidence of the experience and the experience itself. Kind of using
the feeling, the whole kind of, I was there, but I actually wasn't a part of it.
Right. And I feel like that's something that we do fairly regularly. So it wasn't kind of a way to disrespect, you know, Christ or the crucifixion, but a kind of way of showing a current state of affairs.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see here. Frida Kahlo, of course. This was me making 30 prints in our print lab. I miss those days of midnight working and you know, going to the vending machine to grab my dinner and college, yay.
Yeah. I mean, I remember 3 a.m. trips to Walmart.
Oh, you gotta have those.
Yeah.
No, I ran out of. Actually, no, I'm good now. No, I'm like, not so much. Also, really influenced by, you know, comics and graphic novels. So I don't know if I officially have the nerd label yet, but I think I do now. After
I think you had it even before this. But
right. I try to hide it and look like a cool kid, but it doesn't always work.
It's not even worth it.
Right. For sure.
Actually, I feel like these days, actually, you actually have more street cred as a nerd than you would have as a cool kid.
Now. Yeah. Another one of those things I want to go back in time and tell myself it's gonna be okay. Your nerdiness is, you know, keep playing those video games, keep reading those books. It's gonna be okay.
Hey, I've got my
nice.
right here.
Right. I actually left my Switch at home today because I wanted to get some work done. Because sometimes it finds its way into my purse. But
Somehow, magically.
so this was another piece, and this is one of the first times I interacted with my current work. Oh, there's a cuss word there. I'm so sorry.
Oh no, it's
Okay,
whatever.
we're good. Okay.
I think we're all adults here. It's okay. Well,
Okay.
most of us are adults.
Well, they my work, so that's cool. So this was another part of kind of exploring reverence in an AI. I'm trying to see if we can see like the whole work. So here we have like, you know, these footsteps and kind of this lighting of an altar, you know, and a reverence and a sense of worship. So this was more of a literal translation of kind of these thoughts that I've had about this particular concept. And this was another, you know, assignment, a school assignment. But the great thing about, you know, art school assignments is they're art. It's not something that's going to sit in a drawer like, oh yeah, I remember that report I wrote about, you know, 15th century France. It's like, no, I still have a interesting saleable, hangable piece.
Yeah.
So this was me using 3 different mediums to explore this, was the point of this particular work. So digital, color pencil, and black and white alcohol-based marker, or grayscale. But what's kind of more important here is the concept, of course, more of these sort of kind of personal telling. Oh, here it is all together. So this was another, you know, kind of landmark piece for me. And then more of kind of this religious stuff. This was my literal TV head Mary in one of my shows. Let's see here. Some murals. I've done murals for different places as well, paintings. Some more of kind of the, this figure, and she's gorgeous, by the way. She's one of the best models I've ever had. But this figure kind of represents more of that pushing photography with digital work. So this is, you know, a fully nude figure. I went and literally worked each line to make her look like a robot or an android. This is all kind of photo montage, digital collage. And the idea of Adam and Eve was kind of really prevalent during this time, and thinking about a lot of these are called Eve's Shame or Ashamed Eve. So this character kind of shows up a few different times, but just the idea of all the influences that we have that cause, you know, our senses of shame and embarrassment, and kind of some more of the negative stuff. So I did also do an Adam, but the Eves kind of ended up better for some reason. So my Adams kind of never were as compelling to me for whatever reason. This is another work with that same model in the same vein, but this was a screen print. So this is one of the first ones that I did where I really started to kind of stack meaningful layers. So everything that I put into a screen print, it's some of it's randomly selected, like I might randomly select a texture, but most of the time, every single layer has a meaning. So for this one, you know, you can see the motherboard in the back, you can see the apple, you can see the snake. This one's a little bit more obvious. Some of them are incredibly subtle. So more Skellybot stuff, more kind of this Android photo religious photo montage. Let's see here. This one I recently just traded with Colin on, which I was pretty excited. So I think I might have a better picture of this one. So we might go back to that one. Legos, Christmas stuff. So this is my first college show. This is my senior show. And I called it Spiritual Biotech. Originally it was Catholic Biotech because I wanted to do mostly Catholicism, but other religions kind of snuck their way into there. So
as that actually that's how religion normally works, where
right.
you start with one and then all of a sudden you find references to a lot of others.
Yes, studying religion became kind of really important throughout this whole process, and kind of in your own reconciling your your place in the universe kind of thing. So some kind of photograms I did. Legos. So this was a display that I did in my senior show, and this is called Viral Video, A Family Altar. So I have these little TV Madonnas, and kind of thinking about the Mexican ofrenda, where you put photos of your family and stuff. So there are different photos of the pieces. So a lot of those pieces ended up being smaller pieces in this. And originally I was going to have some really creepy, cool stuff playing on the TV, but I lost the adapter right before the show and got stung by a bee while I was putting this show up for some reason.
Oh, geez.
I took it as a sign to keep going. So just kind of more ways that the TV had Madonna. And I took VHS tapes and cassette tapes and spray painted them into kind of these little colorful pieces. So this is by far probably one of my favorite installations that I've done, and maybe the only one. I can't remember. Let's see here, but we kind of see it developing a little bit more. This is a piece that shows up a lot. Saint Lucy is the patron saint of the blind, so I have her with the Oculus and with the with the iPhone. And I said there was 12 layers on that. I'm surprised. That's actually pretty light for me. My professor used to be like, how many layers do you have in this? And I'm like, 25. Sorry. I know I'm going to take up the lab for a little while, but it's important. And, me and the goober right there on graduation day. I've also painted a couple of pianos for Jesse Norman School. This is my first real digital piece and my first real piece since leaving college. And this is more of like a personal reflection, the P for Payasa and the kind of maternal thing. So this is kind of springboarded the next me and my babies, my students. Every time I see them outside of work, I'm like, my babies. They probably think I'm nuts. And then, I tell people my kids, and they're like, how many kids do you have? And I'm like, one that I birthed and like 90 that I just love because.
Hey, family doesn't always mean blood.
Right, for sure. I tell them the second you cross the threshold of my classroom, you are my baby. I will show up to your graduation, occasionally send you a gift, maybe.
And I think, to be completely honest with you, I think those kinds of teachers are kind of the best kinds of teachers in a lot of ways, because I mean, just the ones that you can actually have a genuine connection with.
For sure.
It's something special.
Absolutely. Those kind of teachers pretty much, and I definitely don't say this lightly, saved my life as a youth and as a teenager. And I learned a lot from them, and that's kind of my charge as a teacher now is continuing the love that they gave me and showing me my worth. I want to make sure that all my little dudes and dudettes and everything in between, that they know their worth as well, especially as artists.
Absolutely.
Because you always got this sucks. I'm so bad at this. It's like, no, you're not. You're where you need to be. Let's push it a little bit further. So a lot of fun stuff there. I'm just still kind of scrolling through. So I recently became a big girl artist and got my own website. I finally pulled the trigger on a website. So I've also kind of developed some of the motion graphics for my website as well, and created a logo this past year. So those were some huge artistic strides for me personally. So this is my website kind of entrance logo. It's kind of fun stuff. And I love, already kind of talked about loving TV. So this kind of weird futuristic TV comes up a lot. And as I was talking with Michael yesterday about our collaboration, I was telling him, how people call each other sheep. For me, it's like people are TVs. All they do is get the signal and spout it back out without actually processing it.
Yeah.
Which I don't necessarily. I think I still have to kind of process that in terms of how that kind of goes with my, TV head Madonnas and stuff like that. I might have to go back and revisit that, but I think that's the symbol of the TV for me is what you take in and what you put out. So this is just kind of some random stuff. recently started using ibis paint, which I'm absolutely in love with. So this is kind of some experiments and more Skellybot. Is it cool that I'm just kind of going?
Oh yeah, no,
So
you're
interrupt me,
fine.
stop me if you have a question, because I mean, we're
No,
talking
no.
to my family.
No, it is completely okay.
Cool. So the deal with the Skellybots is, like I said, this is kind of my way to diffuse a little bit after I've been kind of working on these sort of really heavy conceptual things. So this originally came from an assignment that we did where we had to do an isometric drawing, and I couldn't just do what was being asked. I wanted to put my own spin on it. So that's where the Skellybots were born. And like I said, it's just like a fun thing that I do. It's not really super serious. But the whole concept is they kind of have like this little backstory, of these little aliens that kind of come to the world after we're all gone, and they see all these skeletons and think that that's maybe what we look like. So they form themselves to look like skeletons. And then they kind of look at all of our traditions and history and weird things, and they're like, maybe not mocking it, but trying to understand it. So this will probably be my wedding invitation someday.
Nice.
So this is a Skellybot wedding. So it's them like doing wedding stuff. Like, oh, this is what the humans did. They ate cake and put on fancy clothes and had rings. And so there's more of those a little later. This is a playing card deck that I'm working on developing right now. I'm actually not going with these particular images. I've changed up the imagery a little bit, but I may release those later as something else.
Cool.
Let's see here. This is my Minecraft character, and I'm very, very proud of it. So I'm going to mention that right now because I literally have those glasses. I have big heart-shaped glasses. So
Nice.
my blazer. I just don't have the pink dress yet, but my daughter and I play Minecraft all the time. So here's some more of our Skellybots. So this is Skellybots, getting rid of COVID. So this is kind of my response to that, and thinking that this is kind of a big historical event. So I wonder what my little Skellybots would think of that.
I just noticed something, because I didn't really have a necessarily traditional like artistic upbringing, so to speak, like as far as like everything that I've learned and picked up over the years. But what you've used for the pelvis, that was actually a very common anatomy thing that was used in a lot of practices. Like, imagine the pelvis in that hip region is like a bucket. It's like
Really?
Yeah, no, that's like a real thing that a lot of artists have like in a lot of guides and tutorials that I've seen. That is actually used as a point where like you think about the pelvic region as like a bucket.
I've never ever heard that. That is insane. So
Yeah.
but I'm going to start using it now for sure.
Yeah.
I would, and I wonder if maybe I was just thinking about breaking down shapes a little bit simpler, or
Yeah.
I don't know what I was thinking here. For me with figure drawing, the pelvis is always a heart. So that's one of the ones I learned back in the day with my mom's drawing books. So I'm gonna look into that bucket thing. I'm gonna have to tell my kids about that.
I mean, it works though. It does.
It does. Whatever can get you to understand that everything, we're all just shapes.
Mm-hmm.
Shapes. So this is my Skellybot Christmas card. So all of my coworkers got a Skellybot Christmas card, and I started recently kind of experimenting with just doing these kind of speed videos, which IBIS makes really, really easy to do. So kind of just showing the process here in a very fast way. And of course, matching envelope is important. And then this is kind of the current iteration of my work, except this one. This lovely piece was done by my daughter. I'm quite jelly. That's a fabulous dragon. So as I started to, I've actually, I'm not shy about telling people things. I'm usually pretty open. So I do have depression and anxiety that I struggle with, and fight like heck against on a regular basis. And with kind of COVID and everything, I don't think I'm alone in saying that I was pretty depressed, and I'm sure a lot of people were as well, because it's like,
Yep.
what can we do now? And especially as a theater teacher, like, we can't get together, we can't rehearse, we can't put on plays, we can't get people to come to our plays. So a lot of things were just really kind of hurting, and I wouldn't get out of bed. So one of my life hacks was going back to digital drawing, and most of these pieces were actually done on my phone. Which I tell people that, and they're like, haha, no, really. And I'm like, no, they were done on my phone. So these were kind of my initial explorations with using digital drawing software on my phone. Going back, of course, to my, reverent Android.
Yep.
And just really exploring abstraction and texture as a way to cope. So that really started to evolve quickly. So all of these kind of digital pieces here. And I've never really been one to do much abstraction, but I felt like that was the best expression of the things that I was feeling, because it doesn't always have a name or a face or a reason,
or even a word,
absolutely. But the feeling is there. So a lot of them, you'll kind of see in the title what I was thinking. So this one's called Sight and Memory, and one of my fondest memories of the first time I went to college in 2005, back in the day, which is, it's really strange to me that I went to college for the first time before some of my students were born. I'm still coming to that terms with that. But one of my favorite memories were the ginkgo trees on campus. So I would always find the ginkgo leaves and kind of press them in my journal. And I noticed that Ibis had a ginkgo brush, so like I use that a lot, just to kind of signify my own positive memories. So again, it just kind of started to evolve. I started to play with filters and abstraction more. This was a piece where I really turned a corner. This is probably one of my favorites of the abstracts. Thinking about like summoning something within yourself, like a phoenix, or something that signifies strength. And overcoming. More Skelly bots, of course. I got one for Valentine's Day. And they're just like, I don't understand what we're supposed to do. They're bees, they're anywho. So again, just more exploring abstraction and abstract feelings and all that good stuff. And then this piece, I said we we're gonna come back to it and I completely forgot. So this is one of my largest screen prints that I've done with a monotype background, and this one's called Evolution of God. So kind of going back to that, who's God to whom? So, in Islam, of course, you have that kind of abstract concept of God where, you never see the face. So I kind of included sort of abstract Islamic patterning in the back, and then kind of the ones that we regularly think about for the most part when we think about our gods, and then thinking about humans and DNA and androids. And so that's kind of where that one ended up going. But yeah, which brings us to kind of now and more of the abstract stuff. And again, I love retro TVs and TVs in general. So I put out like a sticker series. And if you want to let me know, I will send you some, because I order every time there's a sticker mule special. So I have a lot.
Nice.
And these are probably my two recent pieces where I'm kind of pushing that digital abstraction a little bit more. I'm very, very happy with this one. This one's called The Archivist, and I put Archivist 1 because I feel like I'm not done with this concept yet. And I will hopefully be putting out a video of the process soon. And I recently, again, did a big girl artist thing and got myself a drawing tablet.
Hey, join the club.
I'm like, I'm always like one generation behind or a couple generations behind in video game consoles, and it's like that for the rest of my life too. Always just a little tiny bit behind.
Hey, but at least you get the experience though.
Yes, better late than never, I suppose. So this is kind of where I'm at now. I'm doing a show down here soon, and of course collaborating for the Techspressionism show. But that's kind of in another large nutshell, as we have many large nutshells around now. Kind of the journey the main journey of, you know, me being here now, I guess.
Mhm.
So
Well, that was I think you actually probably covered almost the entirety of your artistic life up to this point, or at least a good chunk of it.
that
From
that's the most interesting stuff, at least.
yeah. um, which brings me into another part of the present. Your affiliation with the Techspressionism movement now that we are both big parts of.
Yes.
So you want to talk a little bit about how you came into contact with the movement, and you know what about it kind of reeled you in?
Oh, absolutely. And I actually talk about it on quite a regular basis. Every time I see my coworkers, I'm like, guess what we're doing? Guess what we're doing? So I got an artist call through the cafe site.
Mhm.
And, you know, I look through the artist calls every so often, but with no, not necessarily with any kind of seriousness, just like, oh, okay, sure. You know, because a lot of them are in other states and stuff. And I saw the
Right.
expressionism one and I was just like, huh, interesting. Because I never really found anybody else locally, and I'm sure they're out there. Just I've never run into anybody who really thinks about technology and art together in this particular way. Or maybe it would be better to say I've never had a name for what I did, and I never
Mhm.
understood where it fit into the larger, you know, art thing. And I thought it was just kind of a weirdo in a corner making weird art. So I read the artist call and looked on the website, and I'm like, this is it. This I'm home. You know, these are my people. This is exactly the kind of thing that I want to explore and talk about. So I entered the artist call, and the rest is a little bit of a blur, but I can't remember who contacted me. It was probably Colin.
It's probably
Um,
Colin.
it was probably Colin. I'd have to go back into my emails and look, but I remember there being some contact, and then I'm on the site and being invited to salons, and I'm like, woo.
Yeah.
So, and watching it grow has been really, really interesting. And unfortunately, 2:00 on a Tuesday is always a really popular meeting time for other things that I have to do. So I don't make every salon, but that first one, I was like a kid in a candy store, like just looking, like listening to everyone and going, oh my God, other people think like me too. That's
Mhm.
really cool. I'm not a weirdo. Um, but I've just been really impressed by the movement, and the fact that we're kind of, you know, you go in your history book and you read about abstract expressionism, you're like, oh, that's cool. But here we are actually living in an art movement. And
Mhm.
I can't express how like exciting that is to me, just to, and, you know, even if I was not part of the movement, to watch it would be a privilege as well, and a pleasure, because it's like, you know, we're watching history unfold in so many different ways. And I remember my boss told me, he's like, so you might be in a history book one day. And I'm like, maybe, I don't know, that would be so cool. And you know, I kind of feel the same way about all of you guys. I'm like, that'd be so cool to be like, dude, I know that guy, the guy in the history book, I know that guy. And they're gonna be like, oh, hush, grandma, you're just nuts. And I'm like, no, I know that guy. So
I was there. I met Colin. Yeah.
right. And they're gonna be like, yeah, grandma, okay, let's
Sure.
which my daughter already looks at me like that, so I'm pretty sure my grandkids will too. But it's just an amazing movement, and an amazing thing to be a part of. And you know, in the time that we're at, where technology is so integral to life, so it's came about as perfect timing.
What we're doing right now is kind of a perfect illustration of that. Like, I'm recording audio with my phone. The video is being recorded with my computer. We're communicating over the internet. Like
Right.
this, we haven't actually met each other in person before. Like the majority of the people in this movement have not actually met the people in the movement like in person. There's a couple of people that might have worked together in the past, but you know, for the vast majority of us, this is how we've connected.
Yeah.
Like in a completely digital, virtual way.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is.
Especially for people like me that are huggers. I'm like, I just want to hug you all, but you're so but yeah, it's been and it's funny, like, you know, how we've all kind of met each other online, but like like nobody, I don't know, I guess I can only speak for myself here, but nobody really feels like a stranger, you know? Like when we meet people, I'm just like, hey friend, you know?
We have a guest, by the way, apparently.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought that was Allison. I was like,
No, it is, but we also have a guest now. I ordered lunch not so long ago, and apparently Allison has befriended the delivery person.
very nice. Like I said, we're, you know, we might be far away, but I'm just like, these are people that I would just show up and be like, hey, I brought some lunch. Just, you know, let's play a video game.
Yeah.
So that's been.
I'd be down for that. Actually, you know what? The next time I'm in Georgia, I might be paying you a visit.
Oh my God, please do. If you're ever like crossing through Augusta, you know, I'd be happy to show you around the school. And if you happen to be here during the time that students might be here, if you want to do an artist talk, that would be like super cool. So if you're ever down here, just please let me know. That'd be awesome.
I will definitely do that. Because I mean, I actually spent a good chunk of my youth in Georgia, like in the northeast metro Atlanta area.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I still have plenty of friends there. Like I have friends that I made 20 years ago that I'm still in regular contact with. Like they're in different parts of the country now. Like one's in North Dakota and one's in like, I think he actually went from Virginia to Georgia to Florida. Now he's back in Virginia. So, but these are people that like I made lifelong connections in Georgia. So as much as I talked about leaving Georgia, like since we arrived when I was like 6, so I was like, I want to go back to Virginia. I am back here, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of meaning for me in Georgia too.
Nice. Yep.
Yeah.
It's you know, I never really thought of Augusta, you know, much. I actually grew up in kind of an adjacent town.
Mm-hmm.
But the more time that I spend, you know, especially downtown, working here now, I've been working here for the past 3-4 years, just really falling in love with the art scene here. It's incredible, and it's really coming along, and we have some amazing artists here. You know, you can walk down any street and find a mural or a sculpture. So I mean, if anyone has never been to Augusta and wants a reason, like downtown art scene is the reason. It's fabulous.
Likewise, Richmond, Virginia has a great art scene that I would love to be able to be more of a part of, but COVID happened. Like,
Right.
like six months after we moved into the city, or like on the edge of the city. That's what happened. So I'm like, I want to actually be in the galleries, but I can't be in the galleries because COVID.
Right. Well,
But soon. I got vaccine shot number 1 down. So
good job.
yeah.
Very soon.
But back to the art stuff though. I'm not sure how much more time you have, but
I don't even know what time it is. I could probably squeeze out about 15 more minutes before I get hangry.
Well, I mean, my lunch just walked through the door not too long ago, so I get you. Do you want to talk a little bit about you know, what's the future looks like for you in your art? Like, what do you see yourself being in, you know, the next year, next 5 years, as far as your art is concerned?
Oh, that's a really good question. So I'm gonna just throw some stuff out there, and 5 years we'll go back and check it. But I absolutely love being a teacher. I don't teach younger students as much anymore, and especially with COVID, and but I definitely want to continue teaching in some way. I know I'm still going to be here. I know I've already like name dropped Jesse Norman School like a million times, but this really is a second home to me. So you know, I'm definitely going to be here, probably still being the performing arts director in 5 years for sure. As far as personally, with, you know, my personal art brand, I don't know. I hope that, you know, to maybe get some more visibility and make it, you know, not just a very serious side hustle, but something that, you know, I could I don't know, like I always feel bad about saying things like, I just want to sell art and make money. But because if I had money, I would just give my art away. But we all got to eat. So I definitely, would like to see it, more businessy and selling more prints and things, of course. And I'm hoping to do some more gallery shows. That was my big goal for this year, was to do another gallery show that was not affiliated with school or with anything else. So that's actually coming up in August. So I'm hoping to continue to do art shows and, maybe put out a book, have a book signing, whatever happens. I'm a very kind of go with the flow person. So I'm hoping that everything just flows good.
Nice. Actually, hold on. I think we can close out the screen share for a bit now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that sounds like a good plan to me.
Yeah, just whatever happens.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's also interesting to try and think about like what the movement itself is going to look like potentially 5 years from now.
Yes.
Because I know like we are moving rapidly.
Yes,
like
I
just
noticed.
in in like the past 6 or 7 months, a lot of things have changed and developed from when I first became part of it.
Yeah, I see that.
So it's just like in another year, I have no idea what things are gonna look like, because we have the Southampton gallery or Southampton Museum that's going to be opening up in 2022. That's major. And who knows what other big stuff is going to happen, because we're getting noticed, so to speak.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I've noticed just on the Discord, like, it was like occasionally a name would pop up, and now it's just like every day it's just like, oh, look who's joining. I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah. So
you can thank your boy for the Discord.
Yes, I definitely appreciate the Discord and everything that you do, Java, for sure. It's been a nice way to kind of, because the salons are wonderful. It's kind of nice to have to continue the conversation. Yep. And I've learned a lot. I still have no clue how an NFT works, nor do I really care at this point. Every time I see those conversations, I just kind of I twitch a little bit and keep going. Maybe I'm just not. And I told you I'm always a little bit behind. So in 5 years, I'm going to be like, woo, NFT. But but I like seeing other people introduce their work and group critique and the enthusiasm and people kind of going, oh well, hey, have you ever thought about this, and watching those kind of conversations develop. I think there's a conversation on there right now that I've been following about glitches and using glitches and digital work. So it's just it's just a continuance of this of these conversations and being able to learn from other people. It's wonderful. This is the coolest thing ever.
It is so great. It is amazing. I am so glad and thankful that Colin found me, and glad that I decided to put myself back out there in that way to be able to find this, because he's the one that found me after I started putting my abstract digital work on Instagram.
Yeah.
And
we love Colin.
Yeah, right.
Colin is such a cool guy.
He is.
And so is just everybody that we've kind of met so far. I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna start calling everyone aunt and uncle.
The vibes are good.
Very good vibes for sure. Very important.
Right. All right. I think we can go ahead and start wrapping this up. Our interview has gone over a little over an hour. Ooh. Actually. Yeah.
Yes.
So we made it.
Ooh.
So you have any parting thoughts, parting insights before we wrap things up for good?
So I had to. So the reason I kind of slowed down for a second is because I always have something funny to say, and I'm trying to be a
Quite a few
serious grown-up artist here.
Don't worry about that.
And also, I couldn't come up with anything funny. But no, just thank you so much for having me, and thank you, Colin, and everybody else, of course, for having me as part of this movement, because I feel at home here, and just I don't know, I have nothing but very, very large amounts of gratitude towards all of you, of course, and for the movement and everything else. So thank you. That's all I gotta say is thank you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for being a part of the movement and helping us grow.
Same.
All right, Carmen. Well, it's been nice. It's been a pleasure talking to you. And again, thank you for your time.
Oh, no problem. We'll talk about video games and stuff later.
Yeah. I'm a huge video game nerd. I can't help it. It's like it happens.
For sure.
All right. All right, I'm gonna stop recording in 3, 2, 1.